And welcome back. I'm joined now by Kim Suski, who's the director of LaCie Tours. And um, Kim doesn't necessarily like being on television, so we're going to try and go a little easy on the questions. But,
Thank you.
But first and foremost, what is your position in working with LaCie Tours?
I'm the director of LaCie Israel Tours, and I organize, plan, and facilitate each tour.
Okay, so what goes into that? How do you do that?
It's a lot. You know, we deal with the airlines, we deal with the land operator in Israel. We have the paperwork that needs to go out to each individual, and then processing the paperwork and speaking with people on the phone and from A to B. And then I'm very blessed to be able to travel on the tours and to make sure that everything runs smoothly while we're there. If anyone has questions, I'm here to help them.
You know, one of the things that people really probably can't really understand that much, especially if you do any kind of traveling, Israel's really one of the easiest places to travel to.
It really is. You just need a passport, you don't need shots, everything's modern, you can drink the water, the hotels are modern, comfortable, food is wonderful.
So Kim, it says a lot to me that you've 11 years you've been traveling to Israel with LaCie Tours, every trip to the Holy Land. So that's at least 3 times a year. You do the math, 3 times, 11 years. And then you turn around and you go with your family.
Yeah.
So what made you do that?
Well, you know, I brought my kids when they were 16. I felt that it was important that as a teenager for them to see the land of the Bible. It made a great impact on them. My husband, Mike, has not had a chance to come because he started a new business and it's been really hard for him to get away. So it's been on my heart to plan a trip where my entire family could come and we could share this together. But we just haven't been able to work out the schedule. So we have 2 kids in college, and my son and his wife, my son Travis and his wife Sarah, they're starting to plan a family. So we knew that time was coming where things were changing the dynamics of our family. So I said, look, we need to plan this. We found 2 weeks in August that was perfect for everyone. And we just began planning the trip of a lifetime, the Suski family adventure.
All right. You did a lot of selfies.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what was the purpose in so many photos like this?
Well, I'll tell you, it just really started off with, obviously, a lot of people before we left. They said, what are you doing? Are you crazy? You know, a lot of people were concerned. I was concerned even before we left. I wanted to show everyone what the reality and the truth is in Israel. We got there and we found it completely safe. After a few days of being there, we honestly kind of forgot that there was even a situation going on. It's the media gives us this perception that the entire country is in turmoil, that there is bombs going off everywhere and people, it's just not true. There is an unfortunate area of the country that is tragically under war. But the tourist sites, we don't travel there.
Brian was mentioning on yesterday's program while he was doing his interaction with us live on the air, there were tour buses going along behind him on a regular basis that was almost drowning out his audio.
Yeah, we did see, while we were there, we saw individual travelers and we saw groups from all over the world. We saw Asia groups, Russian groups, some U.S. groups. We saw college kids, birthright groups. We saw people in the country. Now, it's true, tourism is down, and the tourism industry in Israel is suffering, which is sad because it's not necessary, because it is safe. So before we left, I was watching TV like crazy. You know, Operation Protective Edge wasn't stopping, and it was going, and I thought, oh, what am I doing? Am I taking my family to someplace that's not safe? My daughter-in-law is now pregnant. You know, I don't want to do this if this is not safe. So the media, as I was watching it, I was just becoming more and more concerned. So what I did was I turned off the TV, and I decided to gather the facts. And I contacted my friends, my coworkers in Israel, the Israel Ministry of Tourism, and I said, what are the facts? The facts that they told me of people living life as normal, that it is safe to travel there, the tourism sites are not affected. They told me, Kim, you will be safe. And I trust the people in Israel. Of course, they wouldn't want me to come if we were in danger. So we turned the TV off. We had a family meeting and said, look, guys, here are the facts. You decide what to do. And the first question came up was, how many suitcases can we bring? Everyone was on board.
Yeah.
It was very exciting.
Now, you guys drove yourself.
We did. We rented a van.
Rented a van and drove yourself
Yeah.
around the country.
I asked my daughter at the end of the trip, I said, what was the scariest part of your trip?
And they said, you're driving?
Not my driving. My husband's driving. Driving in Israel is a challenge. It's easy. It's not easy, but it is an adventure for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Kim, not only did your entire family go, but your daughter spent a summer there,
Yeah.
correct? Studying there in Israel. And you were here in the States. I mean, were you apprehensive about letting that happen?
No, because I know the truth, because I've been there enough, because I just know the truth about Israel. And it's unfortunate that people make decisions about traveling there. Even though God places it on their heart to go, they make decisions based on what they hear about in the media. You know, long gone are the days that we watch Tom Brokaw at the 6 o'clock news,
Right.
where he gives us the facts and informs us of the situation of the world. Now we have a 24-hour news that is giving us their opinions, and they are looking for ratings.
That's right.
And it's really sad. And in every situation that they're promoting, it's really has
And the
an
same
agenda.
situation's happening right now, unfortunately, with Ferguson, Missouri, where people would be making a decision, you know, is it safe to go to St. Louis? Yes, it's perfectly safe to go to St. Louis, and that's not a problem. All right, on to a more fun topic. What was the family's favorite thing, favorite place?
Wow. Well, you know, we had so many favorites, and at night, at dinner time, we would do high-low. What's your high-low? What's your high? What's your low for the day? Every night we do high-low. And then at the end of the trip, we did the high-low. And I think that it was overwhelmingly the Garden Tomb. The Garden Tomb, I strategically planned to be the very last place that we stopped on the very last day. And everyone was just in a place of admiration for what Jesus has done for us. It was a great final moment for the tour.
That really is pretty cool. And on the tour, that is really one of the last places that we go on the tour and take communion.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
So, Kim, someone is kind of still on the fence.
Yeah.
What would you say to that person?
Well,
who's
I would
considering?
say, first of all, pray about it. If God has placed the desire to go to Israel in your heart, if He's calling you there, I believe there's a reason for it. I believe that you should really consider going. Learn the facts. Find out the facts from people like us, any other people that you know that have traveled to Israel recently or who live there. Learn the facts and then follow your heart and make a decision. You know, there's no risk in signing up for, like we have a November tour coming up and a February tour. If it's on your heart to go, I encourage people to sign up and go. First of all, November's a long ways away. A lot's going to change. But if Israel ever becomes unsafe, we're not going to go there. You and I travel with the groups. I don't want to go if it's unsafe. So I would just encourage them to follow their heart and follow what God is leading them to do.
You know, what's really cool is that in November in particular, we've got Dr. Mark Royer, who you know, has been in the area for a long time, pastor of a church, and now is somewhat taken a more of a pastor emeritus standpoint with Crossroads, and is traveling around, but he's going to be a great minister, you know, on this trip.
Yeah, he's really looking forward to it too.
Yeah.
I've spoken with him, and he's standing firm and you know, believing the facts and excited about going, because each trip, whether it's your first, your second, or your 30th, you really find God's blessing there.
And then in February, you know, one of the highlights is David Summerall from Manila, and he brings a large group of people from Manila with him, and they're always fun. There's a lot of music involved, the guitar and singing and praise and worship and
They must be
daily
Pentecostal,
teaching.
like me.
Well, they're Filipino as much as Pentecostal. So no, they're a fun group to be around.
February is a
and
beautiful
it's
time to
really,
go.
Really a terrific time. But November's fantastic also. So in closing, what would you say to someone, again, like Valerie's just saying, somebody's just thinking about it. Should they call right now and get information? Is that a good thing to do?
Yeah, call us. Talk to Lumi and I. Call me personally. I'd be happy to discuss what I experienced in Israel recently during the situation. Go to my Facebook and look at all my pictures. Those selfies were a blast.
Were they staged?
They were not staged. At first, they were staged. At first, I was like, everybody, let's do a selfie. And they were like, oh no, another selfie. So eventually they got onto Mom's Fun. And I'd say selfie time. And I didn't know what they were doing behind me. We just went bam, bam.
That's
selfie,
hilarious.
took the picture. Sometimes I didn't even
Right.
look at it until nighttime. So.
Well, one last thing I'd like to stress, and we get a lot of phone calls, that come in on a regular basis on our toll-free number, and a lot of them sometimes are after hours, so they get answered, by a voicemail. And there's a question sometimes of people of why do we do a trip to Israel? And it really is a ministry.
It's
a
a
all
ministry.
about a ministry.
Holy cow, lives are changed.
Right.
You go to Israel and you walk in the footsteps of Jesus and you are in the very place on earth that God chose for his home. There, you are undoubtedly
Right.
changed. Small way maybe, sometimes large ways. We've had healings. We've had people just hearing from God. I believe that God speaks to us, every day. He's here with us. But when we take the time out of our life, our busy life, and we focus on a week or a week and a half in Israel and focus on God and focus on the Holy Land, we seem to hear from him a little bit louder because our heart is in the right place and we push everything else away. So a trip to Israel brings you closer to Christ.
Well, thank you, Kim, for allowing us to
Thank you
share
for
in
letting
your
me
trip.
share. It was
and
fun.
see all the selfies and all that. It's been fun following the family, Suski family adventure in Israel. So to connect with Kim, go to LaCietours.com or call 1-800-685-3732 or Harvest right after this.